Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. I loaded in Minnesota and I got to go to Nashville and then on down to Mobile. The first part of the trip, there's a couple different ways I can go from Minnesota to get to Nashville, Tennessee. They're all pretty close to the same in miles, pretty close to the same in time. Some of them are shorter on miles, but they take the same amount of time as another way. It's just more or less stuff you learn to go a different way for a different scenery or just to do something different. You're going to end up in the same place. And unless you work for a company that dictates what routes you take, and some companies will do that, then as long as you don't run a bunch of miles out of route, your company don't care how you get from A to B. Now, as an owner-operator, you're looking at your bottom line. I mean, you're not going to, just because there's some place you like and it's 100 miles out of route, you're not going to go do that because that's money out of your pocket and cuts into your profit margin. So while as an owner-operator, you can pretty well do what you want to do, you still got to look at making the loads pay that you take to where you have a profit at the end of the day. And I say all that because a lot of times in our walk in Christ, we're wondering, are we doing what we're being called to do? Or are we on the right path that God has laid out for us? And it's a difficult question, and it's something that's difficult and hard to figure out if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And a lot of times if you talk to your minister or somebody who is knowledgeable in the Bible and you value their opinion and you go to them and you ask them, you might get an answer like, well, you'll know if you're doing what God's leading you to do. You'll know. And I've had that given to me before. Well, I'm still left with the question of, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And it's a hard question to answer, but I believe it's a question that only as an individual you can answer, and they're just giving guidance in the best way that they know how, because they can't tell you what God is telling you to do. They don't know, but they can give you you can ask and get their opinion in that and kind of help you along the way. But it's just one of those questions it's very difficult to answer. And the answers sometimes that you get, they're not trying to be mean or anything like that, but it's the best answer that they have to the question. It's almost one of them questions like there's not an answer to it. But there is, but it's between you and God. It's not you and another individual who's walking Christ you respect or, want to have a walk like they have. It's an individual thing. And I've run into that a time or two, even when I just was trying to figure out whether to do this side. I want to follow and do what I feel like I'm being led, but then you want to know and try and figure out, are you doing it more so because you want to, because you think it'd be neat to do, or are you doing it because you feel led by God to do? And it's one of those difficult questions to answer. In Isaiah, the 41st chapter, verse 10, it says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So kind of like when I decided to go ahead and start these sites, of course I prayed about it and I talked to some people, and I'd already been doing some stuff similar, and they're like, well, that's the next step. You've been slowly preparing to do something like that. And then, I went ahead and done it. It's been, I would say in the eyes of the world, it's not successful, but for me as a Christian, I think it's been, as I look back now and see how it's unfolded, it has been successful, and it's done more than I expected. And and I'm learning from it each and every day in a number of different ways. I used to focus on the number of people that joined. I've learned not to worry about that. Just little things like that, that from a worldly point of view, you look at and you deem that as being successful. But as a Christian, the things that from the worldly point of view are success, not necessarily as a Christian, those things come out as being successful. For instance, I broke down one day. It took a couple days to get repaired. I missed a load, and I ended up over in San Antonio, Texas, loaded coming back up to the Midwest. While going through Austin, there was a backup. In Austin, the highway is stacked, so there's a lower I-35 and an upper I-35. The upper I-35 had a wreck on it, so it was backed up even worse than the lower. So I went on the lower I-35, and we're crawling along, and all of a sudden this car beside me, the gal has her Bible, and she's shaking at it, and she's waving at me, and she's giving me a big thumbs up. And I thought, for missing the load and ending up over here, if that's what I was to do, was to show them the message on the back of the truck, then that was worth it. That's what I mean by, from a worldly point of view, that's not being successful. From a Christian point of view, to me, it's very successful, because who knows, she might have been having a bad day, and just seeing the back of my trailer with the addresses for Time in His Word Ministry made her day. And it made my day, how excited she got when she was going past me. So, do I think I made the right decision by starting this? Yes. Do I feel like I was led to do it? Yes. At times, do I still question that? Yes, because I'm human, and that's natural. But I'm still going to keep pressing forward, doing what I'm doing. And I had and my mother told me, and an elder from the church told me the same thing. They said, if all you do is to make the difference in one person's life for the day, from the message on the back of your trailer, then that's what you're supposed to do. And don't worry about nothing else, because it'll all fall in place. And I've been seeing that time and time again play out. So if you're struggling and trying to figure out if you're doing something God's leading you to do, or you're getting ready to start and you're trying to figure it out, just take a step out on faith. That's what I did for these sites, and it's repaid me greatly. Again, not in the view to what I would say is success in the eyes of the world, but from a Christian standpoint, it's been very successful and very uplifting, very humbling to me. And at the same time, I've learned more and more about myself and my walk in Christ. So if you're struggling with that, take a look at Isaiah 41, verse 10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.